top of my mind is that different doesn't mean bad. A lot of times it's like, oh, the person is so different from me and therefore makes me feel uncomfortable, and therefore I feel uncomfortable with this person, and the person is like good or bad. There is a tendency to kind of judge and put people into buckets straight away. Yes, it's how we respond to the differences that makes it good or bad.
Hello everybody, welcome to Building Better Leaders with Seok Hian and Kausern.
Hello everybody, hope you're well.
This is season 2 and episode number 2. Our goal is to be able to answer one leadership tension in every episode. So that's what we're going to do. And we could probably do it like with a guest. We can do it a round table style. We can probably just do it with both of us. So format wise, it's pretty relaxed, but the idea is to be able to answer one tension each episode. Side note, we're also celebrating 1 year anniversary of our book.
Yay!
I understand it's still available on Amazon as well as also some bookstores in Singapore. There are a few copies which I still have. You can actually go to the website. I'll leave a link below and it will be a signed copy. Okay, so before we begin today, I was just reminded that we need to actually give a little bit of background of who we are, which we didn't do in episode 1. We assume that people know. So maybe just do a little bit of background. I'll probably just introduce myself. So I have always been in the advertising and marketing line for 20 plus years, about 25 years. And the last stint I was in, I was actually a CEO of a company, a social media influencer agency, for about 8 years in that company. And I started this business, Building Better Leaders, about 2 years ago, and this is our 3rd year running. And a fun fact about myself is that I love watching movies in the cinema. So I do watch streaming also, but I prefer to watch it in the cinema, and I'll watch it once a week. So sometimes if there isn't anything nice, I will probably watch the movie twice or just whatever is on available. So like last month I watched 8 movies in the cinema, so that's twice a week right? So that's a little bit about myself, some fun fact about myself. And over to you, Seok Hian.
Sure, and I learned something new about you today, Kausern. So hi everyone, I'm Seok Hian, or you can call me Seok. So I've been a HR practitioner for almost 3 decades by now. And 11 years back, I left corporate to run my own consulting, leadership development, and coaching business. So Kausern and I, basically, we have worked together in the same team before, and that's what brought us together.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of what we can bring to the table for all of you. Like for myself, I can bring general management as well as also sales and marketing. And also being a certified coach, I also can talk a little bit about coaching as well. So that is what I can provide to you. And for Seok Hian?
For me, as a lot of my clients in the consulting space are startups that are ready to scale, and also SMEs where they need more systems and structures in place. And I also conduct a lot of different types of trainings, primarily leadership development, skill sets or communication training, and also coaching, leadership, and C-suite as well.
Nice. Okay. So what tension are we going to explore in this episode?
Well, I think as we are putting this couple of topics together for this series of podcasts, right? And one thing that I really wanted to talk about was when we actually started to conceptualize the idea of writing a book together. Yeah, and I always thought that, there's a lot of things that was going through my mind at the time, and I don't know about you. And it is a common tension that I thought that corporate leaders or young leaders often face, and rarely people talk about it, is about how do you work with friends, or how do you work with someone either you feel close to or before they join you in the same company, or someone who is very, very different from you. So I think if the audience do not know that I'm a left brainer, Kausern is a right brainer, I think together we are whole, but we are totally different polar, different planets,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. You're right. I think the idea of working with different personalities has always been challenging for me. So although we have a lot of common ground, but I was also pretty hesitant when you reached out to me and say, hey, would you want to explore writing a book together? So I think that is something which clearly made me a little bit uncomfortable. So yeah, so I think we have prepared some questions to answer, but we have not planned out our answers. So we're going to surprise one another with our answers. So
We are going to be spontaneous about it.
So why not you just go ahead with the first question, Seok Hian?
Okay. So one question I have is, what were some of the thoughts and feelings that you have, and I'll share mine as well, when we decided to work on this book project together? That was like 2 years back, actually. Yeah, or 3 years back. Yeah.
3 years, yeah, about 3 years back.
Yeah, 3 years.
Thoughts and feelings. Okay, so it's excitement first, but it's a knee-jerk sort of excitement. Because I always wanted to write a book. Don't know why, but it's one of those things, I think vanity, right? So to write a book. But it is, in my mind, it's such a big task because I do not know what I do not know, right? And it fears me. Every time when a project is being presented to me, a big project being presented to me, I would love to be able to work with somebody so that we can kind of like journey together. So when you approached me about 3 years back, I remember I was having a meal outside and then you texted me. Until now, I still do not know why you actually reached out to me. Then you say, hey, would you want to try, writing a book together? And I was like, yes. So I think before you could complete your sentence, immediately I was like, yes, that kind of thing. So it's a very knee-jerk reaction, very exciting journey ahead and so on. So excitement was the first feeling that I had. Then almost subsequently, the next feeling I had was anxiety.
Oh no.
So a few things, right? Number one is like, where do you even start? How do you even publish a book? How does it go? How much does it cost? And so on. And then I think my whole perfectionism and high expectation tendency started to kick in. I was like, it needs to be the best book ever, and it needs to go viral, that kind of thing, right? And I think also there's this whole people-pleasing tendency that also kicked in as well. Like I wanted to also please you. I wanted to also match your energy as well. I have a lot of reverence
Regards.
for
Oh, right.
reverence for Seok Hian, before this project started, because I used to dotted line report to her, so it wasn't because
You
of
mean
her
now
talent.
the reverence dropped, is it? Maintain, I
Yeah.
hope maintain.
So there's this thing about a lot of respect for her or for what she does and so on. So I just wanted to not disappoint her in any way. So then the whole anxiety kicked in. But then I realized that is where the feelings comes in. But you also asked about what were my thoughts. So I needed to tune into my thoughts and not let my emotions take over. Uh, so then I went back to excitement again, but this excitement was very intentional sort of excitement in terms of like, hey, it's okay. Whatever you're feeling right now is uncomfortable. There's a lot of friction and so on, but it is all right because that's normal. Because any growth journey would require you to be uncomfortable, and that's perfectly fine. And I embraced it. So it was kind of like excitement, knee-jerk kind of excitement to anxiety to intentional excitement. So that was what I was feeling. How about you?
Okay, well, that sounds like a roller coaster for me. For me, I'm more in my head, right, as usual. So I think when I first texted you to initiate this project, my intention was very clear in the sense like I wanted to support you to kickstart your business. So I think both of us were in the advertising, so we know like social media and how to put ourselves out there. That was at least for my first 2-3 years of experience running a business, so I know how difficult it can be. So I thought it's like, okay, this could be one way that I can support you. Plus, because I was concluding my first book at that time, so I kind of get some level of confidence or naive confidence to kind of like, okay, why not we write a second book? Yeah, so I think that was how it started. Basically, I was thinking because we were based in different countries, so
Yeah.
the level of support I can provide, I thought is limited. So not so much of a physical doing workshops together kind of support, but it's like, how can I help you put yourself out there as well? So I think that was the intention. And last time when we worked together in the same HR team for the region, I think that was I already knew we are very different. You're a lot more EQ savvy and sensitive about, mindful about how people kind of feel and things like that, whereas for me, I'm pretty much task oriented, especially when I get caught on an idea or a project and concepts or whatever. So then I start to actually, after you say yes, and then I also start to like, whatever got myself into and how should we do this. So for me, it was about my intention about prioritizing our relationship. So that was very clear to me. And in the past, I think I've worked with a couple of my friends and I brought them into the company that I work in and all this, and we work together. So I have actually had pretty good experience that helps in working with friends, that kind of concept. Yeah, so but we are so different, and I was at one point really worried about, how the book would turn out, because for those of you who don't know, it took us 2 years to
Yes.
write this book. The first year was my fault because we kept pivoting and tearing down the concept and structure of the book and all this, because we get excited with new direction and new way of presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so initially we wanted to write it like a theory, or teaching people how to run leadership, but in the end I think Carlson, with his gift and strength of narrative, I think that actually presented the book as you see today. Yeah, in the form of
Right.
a fable and someone that you can relate to. Yeah, that was beautiful, I thought.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say all those things.
But it's true, I think there are tensions, when you work with people who is so different from you,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
yet it's a person that you care about, right? And you
Yes.
want to really be sensitive or careful with the relationship. I think it's always this tension that leaders, whether you're working with friends or not, I think at the workplace, be it your boss, be it a colleague, yeah, or be your subordinate, I think that there's always that balance and tension that we want to manage.
You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. I think in terms of tension wise, what I went through during this whole project with you, there were two very distinct tension. One would very much be like what you said with regards to how we think and so on. It's a bit very different, right?
Yeah.
And I think why you say that it was your fault for keep on delaying for a year is also my fault because I'm also very cognizant to know that I have got people pleasing tendency. And I didn't want to disappoint you, right? So if you say like, let's go this way, I was like, okay, okay, let's go this way. But it was very frustrating at some time, It's like, but yet, like, actually, so what does Seok Hian really want? And I think that itself was a lesson in terms of partnership, right? I think a lot of times we needed to be able to voice out and say what we are really not comfortable with and so on. And
Yes.
but I went along, so that's why it went for 1 year before anything really happened because there was a lot of movements. So we keep on tearing down, building up, tearing down, building,
Yeah.
tearing down. But I realized that nothing is wasted. I think we needed to go through that in order to end up at where we are today. So there was one frustration I went through. The second thing that we went through as well is I think you just mentioned it just now, which was very, very interesting. It matches with my thoughts as well. That you wanted to reach out to me to write this book because you wanted to support me. I didn't see that part in the beginning at all. So I thought it was because one of my values is fairness, which means that everybody needs to be treated very as equal as possible and given the same amount of opportunity. So not knowing that context. So when it came to me, I thought it's going to be a shared project. So which means everything needs to be shared, right down
Equal.
to the equal, right down to the middle. So there were moments that I think we were talking about like the website, how in terms of the host of the book, what should we do? And then I was even talking about like when any leads come in, how are we going to split the leads and so on and so forth, right? And I felt really down after I found out that when you say that, oh, I'm actually here to support you. So from here together, suddenly it's like you're at the back, you're supporting me, right? Yeah, and I think it was just my own insecurities I needed to process through. I was like, which means we are not I thought we are co-piloting, but instead you are supporting me. And what does it mean, right? To be being supported, then then all this anxiety and all these things about trying to be able to figure out this relationship and so on. And and it took me a while to truly understand what does it mean to feel supported. But I came around to it lah. But yeah, I think I remember that I didn't actually mention this to you, but that was a friction I felt, at least for myself, until I really understood what does it mean that you wanted to support me. And just now when you said that you reached out to me because you want to support me, in my mind I thought it was just kind of like hey, you've got the brains, I've got the looks, that kind of thing. let's make money together, that kind of thing, right? So but I really appreciate what you just said just now.
I mean, that was a blind spot, and so to me it was clear, but I didn't communicate until like
Yeah.
midterm of the project.
Yes,
And when
yes.
you start to nail down those terms and like, oh, so how do you, to me, it's like, why are we talking about this?
Exactly. So when you were frustrated, I said, oh my gosh, she's frustrated. How? No, no, did I offend her? That kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's how funny now we look back, right? I mean, it was very uncomfortable, which I think people likely may be able, or the audience may be able to empathize. If you start to work with people that you care about and or your key stakeholders, and there
Mm,
were so many implied expectations or intentions that was not mentioned or explicitly expressed. I think these are some of the common misunderstandings that we can have. And
mm,
this boils down to the level of trust that you have. How much trust? Like before, between me and Kausern, I think we have lots of trust to withdraw
mm,
from if we talk about
mm,
trust as a bank, right? So
you're
I
right.
think this is where the relationship and the trust and knowing this person is very crucial, but we shouldn't also take advantage of it. And just because we trust each other, therefore we keep everything implied. Yeah. So
Mm,
those conversations where we talk about things and resolve things as it comes, I think that is still important. Yeah.
yeah. I think one of the adjustments that we made, which made all the difference actually, which had that almost immediate alignment where like a domino effect, like once the moment we agreed on it, then everything just fell accordingly.
Fall in place. Yeah.
Yeah, the adjustment that we made, I remember very clearly, is how do we actually serve the project?
Yes.
Like serving the mission itself. It's almost like how do we raise this baby together? And that is where we suddenly it's not about me or you or trying to please each
Yeah.
other, but it's really about how can we make this project successful. So we ask questions like what was needed in order to make this book a success. How can we connect with others? How can we write stories which will be able to relate to it? And everything just suddenly fell into place rather than like hey, what do we want to put out into the world? But it's more of like okay, how would this project be able to benefit somebody who is reading it? And that's how we actually came to the conclusion of writing it like a story, like a fable of a person going from point A to point B, and the leadership lessons that this person Sam learned. And then the stroke of genius as well is that you also said, hey, why not we do a coaching component to it, like an alternative ending. Like what if, Sam, the character, were to be coached in terms of the decisions that he would make, how would it be different from what was being written in the beginning, right? And I
Yeah.
thought that was brilliant. Side note a little bit, so I played the Sam character, and the coach was Seok Hian. And I really enjoyed that segment a lot because it was like therapy to me, all the trauma and so on. And I wasn't even playing Sam, I was playing myself at that time.
Immerse
So I
yourself
was
into it.
immersed in this character, and it was really, really helpful in terms of this whole journey of writing the book. So if there's anything, I guess it's the time and the fee that is being paid to Seok Hian as my therapist.
I'm glad I served that purpose on top of the
On top of the
co-authorship.
product itself, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. It
yeah,
was
but
very
but
fun indeed.
yeah, it is okay. So how did it? I'm just curious to know how did it change our relationship? After the whole thing, and did it? Yeah, I just wanted to know from your end.
Yeah. I have learned over the years, right, at my life stage that trying times like this or tension is an opportunity to build trust evidence. Yeah. So to relationships. So I have had money tension with friends, for
Mm,
example, and we overcome that and we reconcile that, and that kind of deepens our quality of the relationship and the
wow.
friendship. So that's why I love and I'm open to work with friends, because that becomes an opportunity for us to learn how to take care of relationship and get things done. Yeah.
Mm,
You brought up a very important point earlier just now. The last point is that we have a common goal. We
yeah,
have a common purpose. I think
yeah.
that really helps to iron out all the personal preferences and tendencies between us,
Yes. Yeah.
and knowing that focusing on what is useful to achieve the common goal or the shared goal. Yeah.
Mm,
And it's the same
mm,
with when I work with my business partners or associates and consultants and all this, is we are clear that we want to add value to the client. So between us, we can argue and debate and, disagree, but that always help us to get over, to achieve that purpose. Yeah. So for me,
mm,
it's like I feel that how it affects our relationship now is that I'm definitely more confident if we were to collaborate deeper. And also, it helps me feel like, I can actually work with someone different. And I really, in fact, enjoy that difference. Yeah, yeah. So the earlier part of the project where you always agree with me, I actually struggle because I have a tendency to not able to work with people who always agree with me. And I think I
Yeah.
mentioned that to you. Yeah,
Yes,
at
yes,
some
you did.
point in time, I say that I need you to also mentally, intellectually stimulate me by disagreeing with me. So that's where we can actually spar better ideas. Yeah. But
I think
definitely now,
that
yeah.
itself is a lesson, right? I think Steve Jobs famously known for him requiring people to challenge him, caveat not his authority, but
Yeah.
challenge his
Ideas.
ideas and
Yeah.
all, and because he can't stand anyone who doesn't challenge his ideas. Because at the end of the day, he's serving a mission to create a product or create something out there which will make a difference, right? And he knows that the wealth of information, the wealth of ideas is in the room. So it's best to be able to challenge him. So I think that itself is a lesson for me as well because
Mm.
I tend to sometimes, especially with people of authority, I tend to give in a lot.
What other things that you learn out of this whole experience?
I think how it changed our relationship, it change sounds very dramatic, but it didn't really
Mm.
change much. No, actually, it did change. Let me try to explain it in a very simplistic way. So in my head, usually there's kind of like, in terms of friendship wise,
Mm.
there's like the rings of friendship. Okay, so there's three, everything is a framework, right? So there's three rings of friendship. So the first ring is the core, which means friends, family, like close friends and family all will be in that middle circle. Then the second ring, in terms of dark secrets, I wouldn't be comfortable to share so deeply. And of course, then the third ring is acquaintances. I probably would know that as the circle gets nearer and nearer to the middle, the number of people gets smaller. And I've always looked at you as a second ring, friends, good enough, but not too comfortable in sharing like dark secrets. But after this project, you are now inside the inner circle. So I'm very comfortable in I know that if I were to die prematurely, you'll come and say something nice in my funeral. So thank you very much. I'll say that first.
I I hope that won't happen.
And but if there's anything that happens, to you or your family, I know that I will be the first to fly down to Singapore to see how I can assist you. Yeah. So I think this project has helped me realize relationships are important. Of course, not all relationships are cut
Equally.
equally, but I really appreciated your friendship.
Thank you. Thank you for promoting me to the inner circle. Yeah. Yes, for me, it's the shared memories. Yeah, the shared project, shared memories, or the shared experiences. I think that made up a key component of any quality relationship. Of course,
Yeah.
if they are victories, like, we overcoming certain tension and difficulty, that's always a bonus point. Yeah, same. I felt the
Mm.
same way. Yeah.
I think that's why we are probably doing this podcast together.
Yes.
And I think probably letting the cat out of the bag a little bit. We are also intending to start a community to support middle managers. So watch out
Yes.
for it in this space. We will let you know in a little while what is it all about. But yeah, so I think there's a little bit more deeper collaboration in order to serve the greater good.
Yes. I think it is very much like in the spirit of like startups, for example, is about beta testing, is always about prototyping.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to embark on straight away a very huge,
Hmm.
audacious goal together. And you can always start with small projects, small things,
Okay.
small engagements, small promises to actually test and build on the trust that you have in terms of any relationship. So
Okay.
I think to the audience, what I really urged them to start to have a new perspective is to start to see tension as an opportunity rather than
Yeah.
something to actually shun away from. Yeah.
I'm just wondering what other lessons besides embracing tension that we can leave our listeners here.
Audience with. Yeah.
Yeah, with regards to especially when someone is going through some tension, especially like working with people who is different from us, right? So what other lessons do you think that you can impart?
I think top of my mind is that different doesn't mean bad. Yeah. So a lot of times it's like, oh, the person is so different from me and therefore makes me feel uncomfortable and therefore I feel uncomfortable with this person and the person is like good or bad. So there's a tendency to kind of judge and put people into buckets straight away.
Yeah, yeah.
Difference is just different. Differences are neutral. Yes, it's how we respond to the differences that makes it good or bad. So therefore, it's about, I urge the listeners and audience to really focus on useful differences. In this case, from this project, the book project, we really tap on each other's strengths. I won't be able to write the first part of the book like what Kausern did. Yeah, I can write a training manual or operating manual or HR policy, but I can't do that way. Yeah, but he is able to. And so
I see.
I think that turns out brilliantly.
Okay.
What about you? Any advice you have?
Yeah, as for me, I think behind every frustrating relationship or behavior that one faces is to first understand that it's actually a positive intention from the other person. I think that's really important to know that, because instead of playing the victim, it's really about understanding where the other person is coming from. Right? Yeah, so that is, of course, finding common ground. That's another one,
Yes.
right? Yeah, that's an easy one. In summary, I will probably say that, tying back to the book itself, why we chose the title Leadership is Not Automatic. Because whatever we talk about for the last half an hour is indeed not automatic. It needs a lot of intentionality to be able to see the person as they are and not who we are. And a lot of times we react, a lot of times it's a knee-jerk reaction. Whatever we talk about earlier on, it's human nature for us to keep ourselves safe. And that sometimes comes across as very selfish. And in order for us to literally want to care for someone in front of us and to be able to sacrifice sometimes ourselves, that needs a lot of intentionality, and that is totally not automatic. And that's what leadership is all about, is to be able to take care of the person on the left and the right of us. And that involves a lot of thoughtfulness, a lot of empathy as well. So I think that is the summary that I can pick up from this whole conversation today.
Nice. I love that.
All right. Today, I think that's about it. We will see you in the next episode number 3. Bye-bye.
Bye.